Hey guys, Kevin Cage back with another cryptocurrency update. Welcome to the channel. Like and subscribe if you're serious about the digital asset space, and let's get right into it today. One take and uncut. This is going to be a long video, a bit informal. I'll be drinking some water if my mouth gets dry. Let's get into it. Guys, what an absolute day. I wanted to hold off on this video to see what happened with the markets, to see if we'd go significantly lower, significantly higher. Seems we are standing still right now with XRP at 16 cents approximately, give or take. Absolutely crazy. I know that a lot of people, not just one, not just two, I mean a good amount of people, I have like 5 in my mind right now that were calling XRP to 15 cents for a very, very long time. So, hey, I thought it was too good to be true, but hey, things surprise you. So as we can see here, guys, the Dow Jones, we know it's tanking. We know Trump and his crew, they are announcing more and more debt into the system to try to prop this up. It's a system that needs debt to continue itself, but it is not sustainable. We know that, obviously, even if we're propped up again by another 1,000 points the next day, it doesn't matter. Long term, we have to correct. I think that we're going to be seeing numbers, at least in the Dow Jones is what I'm going off of and just keeping an eye on. I think we're going to be seeing numbers that are, 8,000 to 12,000 with the Dow Jones. All right, so keep that in mind. We'll see what happens, but specifically today, guys, more than 8%, even higher. Heads for the biggest one-day plunge since 1987 market crash. Next, Greg Mannarino, guys, watch this guy's channel. He knows what he's talking about. Every call is correct. I'm trying to share a lot of the good points that he has on this channel as well to spread awareness. We are on the same side. We are early investors in digital assets. So right here, the U.S. stock market, guys, has now lost 27% of its value in just 2 weeks. Next up, so we got Hunter Horsley. 72% of orders on Coinbase are buys right now after this drop. This was when, XRP was around maybe 15 cents this morning. And as we can see, guys, it looks like retail is actually a buyer today thus far. Current Word from trading desks is is saying that institutional sell-off is due to liquidity needs. They need that money available. For example, market makers who also make traditional equities, bond markets, and they need the cash. So again, anyone that's making markets, they need the liquidity on hand. It's funny that liquidity is the issue at hand. XRP is specifically built to solve this problem, along with, of course, central bank digital currencies and, settling with finality in layers of trust. And, there's a bunch of benefits that go along with it, but I found that to be interesting. So some people are saying, XRP to 10 cents next. Others are saying expect a quick bounce and retrace to 30 cents, if not, 42, 45 cents. I'm not going to pretend I know what's next. All I'm saying is long term, I am bullish. And if any of you are honestly emotional with these price points, you're either overinvested, you need the money too much, or you do not understand the fundamentals. All right, one thing I want to share before continuing to go on to the information and news is D. Rao shared this, and I just thought this was really cool, and I wanted to bring this to light. So you should naturally lose all emotional attachment to your money when you're truly confident in your investment. Healthy mind, zero doubt. Love that. And keep in mind, guys, Cryptopolis as well, I saw him talking about, it doesn't clear, if this drop specifically doesn't clear out the weak hands in crypto, I'm not sure what will. Prices do not change the fundamentals. Know what you own. I know some people that put 90% of their net worth, just dollar cost averaging, into cryptocurrency and precious metals. So they are either going to be broke and look, crazy, or they are going to be geniuses, right? The future will decide. And just like the pan sell-off that we saw in 2008, guys, originally precious metals were going down. Greg Mannarino brought this up as well, and I know a lot of people have, that precious metals were going down with the stocks. It created cognitive dissonance with the masses. They didn't want to buy gold if it's plummeting. It doesn't make sense. Whether gold goes back to, 1,300, it could very well do that before reaching 2K. We don't know. The volatility in this market is absolutely crazy. And people wouldn't do it. They didn't understand to hedge their bet in their positions, or they just kept buying the stock market as it just kept going down and eating away their funds. So keep that in mind. Pan sell-off initially, including crypto and gold and silver, precious metals, and any other hedge that you see in these markets that are coming out of bear markets. And I think that it will turn around, and when it does, it will be fast. And I believe it's going to be 2020 because things are speeding up faster than ever before. And this is probably going to upset a bunch of people, but all of these moves, it's exciting to me. and it's making me more bullish than ever. People are taking screenshots. Some people are lucky to buy XRP at half a penny and have screenshots. Some people are lucky to buy 15 cents. At the end of the day, it's not going to matter if you buy at any of those prices long term when XRP is 2, 3, or even potentially 4 digits if we truly get into the DeFi space. For me, guys, surpassing all-time high $10 is an absolute no-brainer. If you see the fundamentals behind this company, you'll realize on CoinMarketCap all these numbers are so fake. I just want to show you something. I'm just going to kind of rant in this video. I was watching this one gentleman, Road to Ruda, just on YouTube, just listening to him a little bit while I was working, and he had such a great point, guys, regarding all of this fake trade volume. According to this, like half of all Bitcoin that was ever mined was in circulation today. They said that, there was so much volume. Look at this, 22 billion volume for Ethereum trading in 24 hours. If you believe these numbers to be true, you are missing some brain cells. You have to realize that the derivatives market, all these computer algorithms, all of this is primarily fake. This market is so nascent, it hasn't even begun actually going off of utility. Of course, there's some building, there's developments, there's updates, and that's exciting for the software, but we're just getting started. If you believe this trading volume, guys, and you believe that Satoshi essentially sold half his bag today, I don't know what to tell you. Just please, I encourage you to do your own research. You can completely disagree with me. That is fine. We're here to kind of share and learn together, but I'm telling you, there's more to this than meets the eye. All right, now to talk about circulating supply. So John Wick sharing this. So that's a lot less than I thought was in circulation. So what he's referencing here is XRP Reality sharing this. So check this out. So XRP owned by the top 100 accounts. Of course, you can go on the XRP rich list and see this. And so we see this $36 billion, or 36 billion XRP, is owned by the top 100 accounts, guys. And this number is just slowly increasing. You're watching the biggest bag holders, the biggest institutions, the biggest banks, the biggest exchanges are just slowly increasing their position. Whereas you and I, the people that don't understand maybe the fundamentals, you're in it for quick money, they're selling off. This is what these groups want. So right now, forget the amount of XRP in escrow. We're talking about, say the 43 billion. It's actually in circulation according to CoinMarketCap. We have 43.8 billion circulating, correct? So then subtract that from this 36.375 billion, and now you're going to get approximately, 7.44 billion, and that's in circulation. Now, subtract that from what, the rest of the holders are using besides, the top 100. Guys, I'm telling you that 5 to 10 billion estimate that Michael Zischek, that, I've been saying for a long time, there's really not that much circulating. So let's just say it's 5 billion circulating. It does not take $100 billion to move this market. 5 billion is going to throw the market up quickly. Like, it's not going to take that much utility to move the needle upward. And I'm not talking about, these minute on-demand liquidity corridors ramping up volume with the Philippine peso or Mexican peso. I'm talking about true utility with trade finance. This is where the money will be made and XRP will appreciate. It has to. It's simply how order books function. It's not some crazy Shane Ellis theory. Like, Shane Ellis theory is just how order books work, if that were the case. I'm not going to say that's going to happen, but anything's possible. So if you're going to discredit it to make yourself feel better, there's pessimists and there are optimists, but there's not much difference, guys. Like, you're in XRP, you're in, precious metals, crypto, Bitcoin, whatever. You obviously are willing to take a risk and you want to change your life for the better. All right. Next up, so Mbiagi just sharing this. So CME Group to close Chicago trading floor is a precaution to the naughty word, the CV, the flu. We'll just call it the beer flu, I guess. Hopefully this channel doesn't get shut down because I'm saying it. I think YouTube's kind of relaxing with their terms, with the naughty word. But interesting, guys. Again, closing will take effect Friday at the close of business. CME said in a statement, nothing that the cases have been reported at the Chicago Board of Trade trading floor. This will be the first major U.S. exchange to close a trading floor due to these concerns. I think there's more to come. Get ready for, more fear and, kind of exaggerating it. And if you think these numbers of this beer flu are high now, I'm not afraid of it whatsoever, just so you guys know. I don't really like propagating fear, but these numbers are going to look small in a few weeks. They're going to be so much bigger, guarantee it. And even if they're not really true, they'll be all over the news. Everyone's going to talk about it. All right, Greg Mannarino sharing this. So people, pay attention to when you hear liquidity crisis, guys. And liquidity can be a catch-all term as well, but it's being talked about more and more on MSM and by their guests. A liquidity crisis also refers to a credit freeze, a total lockup of the system. Transactions stop. No cash available from banks, ATMs, nothing. This happened in 2008 and will happen again. Be ready, Greg Mannarino. He's claiming it. You heard it here. I mean, he's been sharing this widely, and I've been trying to talk about it more and more. This is not just some crazy thing to make you afraid. Just understand that interbank transfers, will stop. It's not unlikely. Kind of just gotta fix their system and make sure there's enough liquidity to move. And right now, this issue, like the debt that's coming, it just keeps, devouring it day by day. So something has to change. They're not going to, roll out a new system until the old one has been pushed past its limit. And I'm going to cover that at the end of this video as well. All right, next up, Bank of England, BOE. We know, Mark Carney. We know Bank of England is a great client of RippleNet. Plenty of trials. They know what is up. And regarding even like back to 2015, 2016, Ripple had quite the reputation in the financial world with the select, top banks in the world. Now, their name wasn't everywhere, don't get me wrong, but in terms of blockchain and DLT, and as a payments company that helps with that utilizes blockchain infrastructure and DLT, they have some of the, they have proof of concepts with literally every major bank. You can find it, you can look it up, and granted, there are some NDAs. So for over 325 years, we've provided safe money and the ability to make payments, but the way we pay is changing. Should we also provide a CBDC, a central bank digital currency that you can use to make payments alongside cash and money in your bank account? Find out more about central bank digital currencies. And remember, they, kind of thought this was laughable years ago. Find out that, they've been doing this for 3 to 5 years, all the major banks of the world. All right, all using distributed ledger technology. Whether it's fiat or they develop their own walled garden, they still need a bridge. They still need, ongoing liquidity between these pairs and interoperability. So literally, the more they do this in tokenized assets, the better it is, the more likely it is that, XRP will play an instrumental role in all of this. All right, next up. Found this interesting. So Otto von Bismarck sharing this January 2019. Really amazing. Again, just kind of a fun thing to see. Ripple mentioned as always, enterprise blockchain service providers. So we can click this if you guys want. And as we can see, just highlighted right here already. So we can see NTT Data, Everest, that made that one document you guys know about, of course. That is probably the most famous document with XRP and ILP, replacing the correspondent banking system, which that alone makes me a very, very big bull. And if you guys have done your research and don't just watch YouTube and look at the connections that Ripple has with Finastra, with CGI, with Finabler, with some of the biggest names in finance, and then also see what Corda is doing and in these other group, Corda is the open source blockchain platform utilized by R3, you guys would realize what is really, really happening. So right here, we can see the top 10 and global payments on Ripple is another example. And then ABI Lab for interbank reconciliations. Granted, that is not settlement, but we were just talking about them. Is that the association? It's like the Italian Banking Association. The acronym is backwards. Guys, I mean, you can see the connections. If you've actually watched every video on this channel, you should be pretty well versed or at least recognize a lot of these names. Of course, Hyperledger, we see Ethereum, we see Corda, we know the interoperability in the, on-chain capabilities and interoperability between Ethereum and XRP because they want to work together. I just don't know what other, more proof you need because we understand the fundamentals and now we are simply waiting for price. We're waiting for the shakeout. We are waiting for the Fed to finally, well, they're not going to admit it. They're going to use every type of distraction or disease to kind of hide what they've really been doing and, cover their mistake and say it was the disease's fault that the market collapsed. But really, no matter who's in charge, every market is due for a correction. So just my thought. I think they're kind of hyping it up to have, play a blame game. All right, next up. So King Solomon sharing this with Finastra, guys. We know Finastra, Finabler, all these huge groups, guys, with, the top 100 banks in the world, RippleNet partners and connections. We have Finance World stock, and this is just a summary, a synapse. What am I saying? Synopsis. Almost said synapse, like brain. But anyways, of Finastra. Just a quick little video. Finastra, the launch video, open for global banking with unlimited potential. You can see a lot of the keywords: new dimension in finance software, open and time for change, legacy systems ending. The only way to do that obviously is with interoperability, along with the messaging standard like ISO that we talked about. And then of course on the settlement layer, making payments and settlement really the same thing with finality. Bridging between the old and new, legacy and new. I know we've talked about quant QNT with bridging these legacy blockchains together, or even Atom. We don't really know which of these projects will be the most successful, but we can kind of bank on the fundamentals overall and make an intelligent guess, because that's the difference between gambling and investing. With investing, you can gather infinite amounts of data before making your decision, but eventually you got to pull the trigger. That's where the money is made, with risk. Right here, Stort XRP. So fintech, DLT, distributed ledger technology, AI, and the impact on payments strategy. Christopher Major, CTP, managing director of Treasury Services Digital Office at BNY Mellon. This was Tuesday, January 28th of 2020. It was this gentleman right here. I'm just watching an interview of him as well recently. Kind of looks a little snooty, but that's just me being judgmental. You guys can probably say the same thing about my picture. So DLT-enabled payments network, a new way to move money and information around the globe. RippleNet is an example in the top left, so we can see here. Feel free to pause it if you want. So a new way to move money and information around the globe. We have RippleNet talking about the 24/7 payment capability, bi-directional messaging back and forth. We have pre-funded, transparent, on-demand liquidity. They only say 100 plus banks. I'd like, obviously they have, well over that amount of partners. I guess I want to see what they constitute between that, a corporate and a financial institution. Permission network, Ripple code base. Then we got Visa, B2B Direct, or Connect, Finality, global payments, and then IBM blockchain WorldWire with Stellar. All right, so IBM and Stellar, I know a lot of you are aware of that. I own a little XLM just to hedge my bet. I'd imagine that both will move in congruency. I've always imagined Ripple or XRP servicing the institutional side and being a higher value such as gold, whereas Stellar or XLM, the token, if successful, I guess I would see it working the retail side and more so being the silver. But I guess that's a little hypocritical because I'm more bullish on silver than gold, based on, the video you've seen on my other channel as well. But hey, to each their own, guys. All right. Next up, right here, Stort XRP. So XRP_Stort, guys, must follow. So we have this gentleman, Ripple, in 2016, Nilesh Dusain. Sorry if I pronounced the name wrong. Talking about CGI, as a matter of fact, guys. So again, right here in this video, CGI is one of our most important partners. And the reason we do partner with them is they bring a whole set of technologies we want to integrate with. Right, and this is common with a lot of tech, fintech groups, or just anyone in the technology space. They work with other third-party groups because they each have their own niche market that they can work and, have it bring value to the table, type of value add. He says, interest from banks all over the world and more than we can handle. So we need partners like CGI to assist them. And I was reading online, I was, kind of curious what CGI specifically offers to do. But the only thing that I've really seen was, so with Ripple's product offering back in the day was the X series, XVIA, Xcurrent, Xrapid, you could roll them on. Well, CGI, from what I've been reading, is they would kind of be like the technician who would go on premise, install all the hardware and items for you. So if a bank or FI, financial institution, wanted to implement Ripple's product offerings, for example, on-demand liquidity, overall the whole slew, or the whole setup, then CGI would kind of be the IT specialist who would be contracted to go to the bank and set it all up, get it all set up, get the software rolled out, and boom, create the connections. Then of course, we have other groups like, Flash FX that would work on the smart contract, or kind of, was it the smart contract specifically, or was it more so the liquidity that they developed? I think they were just talking about the liquidity. I've watched a lot of interviews with those gentlemen. But again, guys, Ripple, the company, would be benefiting because CGI is effectively helping market Ripple's products and then also expand their usage. So it's a win-win. And then CGI is making more money from all the banks for installing all Ripple's software products in this case. All right. We know the connections as well with, AWS and all the cloud connections. So I feel like there's already tons of videos on that as is. I guess I'll play this really quick. If you guys want to fast forward, go ahead, but I just want to play this so you guys hear it straight from the horse's mouth. And this is from Ripple in 2016, guys. Interest from banks all over the world. And this is why I want to emphasize. They were very, very, unknown to everyday people like you and I. back then, but there's so many proof of concepts in trials where, say a proof of concept, maybe the bank's only sending $100, but nowadays, they consider a micropayment anything under 10K. Some banks, just wait. Wait until we're sending 2 million to 50 million all the time back and forth. That's something that occurs in the real world. Digital money, guys, there's way more than the physical supply of, money or fiat. If you think, oh yeah, there's only 1 point whatever trillion in circulation physically, there's so much more digitally. It's all just fake. This whole system, it's just an agreed upon construct. And, government, society, laws, they only work because you and I, we just kind of agree. We agree that they exist and follow this made up rule.
CGI is one of our most important partners, and the reason we do partner with them is they bring a whole set of technologies that we want to integrate with. Bringing it out to market, and we brought that out last October at Sibos. And 6 months later, we've got quite a bit of interest from banks all over the world, and more than we can handle, so we need partners like CGI to help us bring that to the market. Ripple does, by changing the settlement infrastructure, we then need to work on all those other parts of the stack, as Charlie said.
And remember, we're talking about the whole infrastructure, the whole stack, the whole hierarchy. Ripple, with utilizing specifically XRP and only XRP, they are the base of this hierarchy for payments. The base of the application layer, the base of the messaging layer. They are true settlement and finality for the core ledgers of these central banks. This is where the value add comes, and then you can get rid of these pre-funded accounts. That part is so crucial to understand. I have older videos, like some of my first YouTube videos, sharing that, actual infographic showing the hierarchical pyramid, so to say. And it is so important to understand.
This is our journey. So we started off innovating. We started off as Ripple Labs, and we met with all the innovation teams at all the banks. And we were so excited because we were getting calls from every single innovation lab, and we were doing 3 months proof of concepts about how do we bring this out to market. Well, how do we make sure we're doing this in the right way? One is to get all the right people in the room from the bank. So the payments team, the risk team, the compliance team, the capital markets team, operations team. When we get all those people together to talk about Ripple, we can come to the right solution. The other thing that we're doing is we're working with the W3C, the Fed, industry associations, and
you heard it here, W3C and the Fed specifically, guys. Okay, this whole World Wide Web consortium, they're working specifically with Interledger protocol being the base layer protocol for the Internet of Value. Just like we have various protocols for the Internet with HTTP, we have, SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Guys, I'm just telling you, this is going to be a whole new game, and for the first time, we're flipping this all over. I've probably said this on the channel before. For those of you that are actually watching this video still, props. You guys are the real, supporters, the people that actually see the value in this content. I really appreciate it. But essentially, for the first time, blockchain is going to flip this over. So typically, and I've said this before, but listen up because this always gets me excited, even just thinking about this concept. Companies. So we had the internet protocol come out. Then we had these companies build on top of the internet and say, hey, this is valuable. Let's build a valuable product service offering that, attacks this. And then people would buy stocks. So the better the company does, the more money we would make because we're holding that stock, correct? The earnings, the valuation would go higher. What's going to happen with blockchain for the first time ever, and why I'm so bullish for everyday people like you and I on a level playing field with open source protocols, is when blockchain is going to flip that model over entirely. So what's going to happen is now we're going to actually own a portion of the protocol so XRP is a portion of the protocol, or any other cryptocurrency link, Cardano, VeChain, it doesn't matter. Bitcoin, Ethereum, when you're owning that protocol, you basically have the hope that in the future, companies and people will be building on the same protocol and building value and having utility run on that. And the more that this protocol is used, the higher volume, the higher amounts, the more often, and the more people and money and value that is brought to it, the higher each individual piece of that protocol becomes. All right, so XRP can kind of be like the fuel, the gas for transactions as well, along with being the fastest settlement mechanism. Now, XRP Ledger also has other benefits as well with the built-in decentralized exchange, the DEX. They have, other capabilities, and of course XRP and ILP, Interledger Protocol, the base protocol, were built in tandem, the same groups of people working together. So you have to understand there was an end goal in mind. People say, oh, Bitcoin is the true king, it always will be. No, I'm predicting a massive crash for Bitcoin personally, and eventually I think that it's going to decouple. Bitcoin may go down or whatever, it might go up a little, who cares? What I'm saying is some of the most successful altcoins that are working with institutions, not in search of a problem, but they actually are built in solving a real problem today, they will moon. Like, absolutely. I'm talking way beyond, 2, 5x, or we're talking really huge returns, just like the early days of the folks that endured the several-year bear market when they invested in Microsoft and Netscape. Like, I'm an absolute bull. I know that people are going to stop watching the lower the price XRP goes because they simply are not informed. They're here temporarily. The people that have been here for 2, 3, maybe even 6 years, like some people, props. I wish I was here sooner, but I'm here and I'm learning every single day. All right. And then right here, guys, I wanted to cover this. This is going to happen. Like, there's not a question in my mind. So crude, I think we tapped $27, $28. This was Greg Mannarino saying this call that the true value, the fair value of crude oil is like 25 to 27. Honestly, with what I was just saying with the whole cryptocurrency market, talking about coin market cap and the wash trading and all the fake valuations and the derivatives markets and how much control there really is, even over like precious metal pricing. Wouldn't surprise me to see $20. Like, anything's, I mean, these numbers are simply just made up. But keep in mind, crude, when it tanks, banks are in trouble. It's harder for them. And then, of course, we can see drops in the major indices when I use the Dow Jones just because I like those numbers to watch. All right, now gold. Whether it drops, 1,500 all the way to 1,200 again, what I'm saying is 2020, do not be surprised when everything bounces back. Gold and cryptos go up again. It might be later this year. It might be next month. We don't know. What I'm saying is, end result, gold should reach $2,000 per ounce in 2020. All right. Next up, keep an eye on these groups as well. We've been told by various people, very smart individuals. Honestly, even some of these like goofy riddlers and self-proclaimed people that act like they know something. With the basic market analysis and looking at which banks are too big to fail, who has major sway and power and influence over other groups. Excuse me. I feel like I've been talking so long, I'm getting tongue twisted. But Deutsche Bank, HSBC, two major banks to watch. We know HSBC is ready to use XRP if they decide to. Should not surprise you whatsoever. We know Deutsche Bank has been, suffering for a very, very long time. We know that liquidity would absolutely help any bank in this market right now. So don't be fooled acting, looking at stock prices or hearing what they say. They're not going to tell you that they're in trouble. Of course not. And then other groups to look specifically at, guys, the AIIB, that is the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. We have the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. We have the ADB. This is the Asian Development Bank. And then the WB, the World Bank. All right. Keep an eye. And then I was kind of looking at some other organizations too, but you get it, guys. They all kind of affect each other. All right. Now, the other thing, credit freeze, we've already touched on. It's very, likely that it would happen, especially as just kind of the quick fix the markets, try to get some more liquidity juice into the system so it can keep going. So just keep that in mind. And then predictions, of course, from other people in this market, even, the one and only Ross. And some of you guys will say, oh, I'm unsubscribing because you mentioned him. I don't care, guys. I'm here to make money. I'm here to entertain interesting thoughts. And honestly, I'm very, very excited for the future. Whether we see a slow and steady rise for XRP, we see multiple jumps, or we just see a giant price set, anything's possible. If you can tell me that's not possible, you clearly do not know how these markets function, and you clearly haven't been looking at what these markets have been doing. And I just want to say this at the bottom. All of this needs to burn to create ashes for this phoenix to rise. If there were, hypothetically, a new system or just new updates to work on more distributed ledger technology or this level playing field that we're hearing time and time again that these banks and these FIs, and then specifically that, these groups are saying, they're talking about level playing field on a daily basis. It shouldn't surprise you guys. They are going to push the existing system to the absolute limit. When will they flip the switch and use the other system? And we hope that XRP is at some point, useful in it. It might not be the main part of it. There might be so much that we're missing. Maybe, we're very narrow-sighted and myopic with our view. There might be something happening behind the scenes. All I'm doing is I'd really hope that XRP plays, a 1% role in this to at least bridge some form of value, because all of us will be beyond happy. I'm talking about, much, much higher than we even dreamed, because yes, there is plenty of money. There's plenty of abundance in the world. Some people beg to differ, but I am, beyond excited for the future, guys. I know I'm ranting. Currently, XRP's price is at 16.5 cents. We will see what happens. Let me check out on the Dow. We'll see what we finish at for today. So down almost 2,000 points again. Found it funny that this gentleman right here was sharing this. So Eric Trump on February 28th, guys, he goes, in my opinion, it's a great time to buy stocks or into your 401k. I would be all in. Let's see if I'm right. February 28th, guys. And since our high, simply year to date, we're at what, 29.5 was the high. Did we ever touch 30? And then look at this, down nearly, 27% across the board with US stock markets. Absolutely absurd. All right, guys, I'm done ranting for now. I hope you guys are all doing well. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks.